have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. It's the Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations all over the place. Newsmax TV. Also, joepags.com for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email, all of that right there. Before we get to Katrina Pierson, really happy to have her on. Before we do that, though, Carrie, give me an update on this story we see happening in Charlotte, North Carolina. Go ahead.
From the Associated Press, police in Charlotte have cordoned off several blocks around their headquarters after a suspicious package was discovered inside the building. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officers used vehicles and bicycles to block intersections after the discovery of the package Tuesday afternoon. Fire trucks and a man in an ATF were outside the building. According to police, the package was discovered just as activists were entering the building to deliver demands to Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Chief Kerr Putney. It is unclear if the package was found in the same area or if there was any connection.
All right, we'll give you an update on that as we go. Again, activists entered the building to deliver demands. What demands do you have? I'm not sure I get it, why this is continuing, but it's not, in my mind, it's not surprising that Hillary Clinton is there campaigning today when all this unrest is going on. Okay, I want to get to Katrina Pierson, friend of mine. She's from the Trump campaign. We've spoken many, many times, and here we are on the heels of the first debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And Katrina, A, welcome to the program. Thank you. And B, just give me your thoughts after last night.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I thought Mr. Trump did an amazing job last night. It's so funny how you hear the political class, the media class, talking about Hillary Clinton's performance, which was supposed to be the performance you would expect from someone who's been debating since high school, someone who is a lawyer, someone who has been a two-term senator, a first lady, and the Secretary of the United States. Here's the thing. Donald Trump did a fantastic job. This was his very first time in a one-on-one debate. Not only did he hold his own, but he defended himself and scored several points last night.
Again, Katrina Pierson, she from the Trump campaign. You know, I watched it last night, and I had great anticipation. I had bated breath, and I couldn't wait. And Katrina, to be honest with you, I yawned a few times. It wasn't sort of the exciting, event. Like we thought it was going to be like the Super Bowl because the numbers of viewers and listeners rivaled Super Bowls in the past. When I walked away from it, if you like Trump like I do, and I'm on the Trump train, if you like Trump, then you walked away still liking him. If you liked Hillary Clinton, I think you walked away liking her. Well, what I saw was, and I haven't been beating him up too much, but I'm going to be honest about him, Lester Holt was on her side. He was attempting to fact check and tell Donald Trump he was not telling the truth, while at the same time not talking about Benghazi, not talking about the video, not talking about the email server, not talking about any of this stuff that is in her recent history. What do you walk away from with his performance?
Well, I will say that Mr. Trump got his feet wet. There was no reason to really go out there and to give them anything extra as far as taking on the moderator, because if he would have changed tactics, then that would have worked against him later on.
Right.
There was a lot of thought put into what Mr. Trump was going to talk about and not talk about. But what he was able to accomplish last night, and the media seems to look past the purpose of the debates, because people aren't like, you and I, or people who watch cable news all day, every day, because it's what they do. We're talking about 100 million people who don't watch news on a daily basis that tuned in last night, and there was one thing they were looking for. They weren't looking for policy. What they were looking for, because the only thing they had been exposed to are the ads. They were wanting to see, does Donald Trump really fit the ads I've been seeing, and does Hillary Clinton really fit the ads I've been seeing? And what they experienced last night was Donald Trump at every end answered every question, and he defended himself against every attack. And what they saw with Hillary Clinton is she did nothing. She was your typical scripted politician who did not answer the questions and who did not defend herself when it came to the emails, when it came to TPP, when it came to anything.
Katrina Pierson, of course, a Trump campaign spokesman. Katrina, as I'm watching Donald Trump, I was trying to figure out going in, and this may be just the way I think, because as you said, we pay attention to the news all day, every day, and our brain is overflowing with it. I was trying to figure out if he was going to not interrupt her at all, if he was going to jump in and defend when he felt like he needed to. It looked like if he didn't start jumping in and interrupting the way he ended up doing, that Lester Holt was going to let her speak for 5 and 6 minutes at a time. Is that what you saw too?
Well, that's exactly what happened, and I think that's why it was a little bit difficult to gauge when one topic began and when the other one ended, because if you're given 2 minutes and 5 minutes later you're still talking, then there's really no moderation there. And so when you're talking about 5 or 6 different things, particularly with someone who's never done this before, you want to wait your turn, but then once you realize you're not going to get a turn unless you interrupt, he had to interject and defend himself.
It's Katrina Pierson from the Trump campaign. You know, Katrina, as I was watching it, I was keeping in mind what I know about Hillary Clinton and what you know about Hillary Clinton and what Mr. Trump knows about Hillary Clinton. She has a 30 to 40 year history of lying, just lying. It's not even flip-flopping. She's just a liar. She's got all these people that have pleaded the Fifth Amendment, or taken the Fifth, so they couldn't be incriminated, and talking just about the server, forgetting about Whitewater, forgetting about all the women in Bill's life, forgetting about the right-wing conspiracy that didn't exist, forgetting about Benghazi and the video that didn't do anything in Benghazi, lying to the faces of these people. How does he go into a debate like that and decide what he is and is not going to hit her on? There is so much meat there, red meat, that he could have used last night that he frankly didn't have time to do.
Well, you're right. There is so much stuff there. And I think that, one of the things that he did focus on, particularly, were the things that have occurred in the news cycle in recent years, mainly because those are the things that are showing up in the ads.
Yeah, but she went back to 1972 and 1973. I mean, she's going back 40 years to try to find something on him.
Well, of course she does, because that's the only thing that she can do, because that's the narrative. They're trying to create a history of Donald Trump. And with the help of the media, that's the narrative that he's been fighting against, which is exactly why he defended himself. And now that he's been able to negate those accusations by saying, no, that's not true, we were not sued for discrimination, that was settled without any admission of wrongdoing. This was a nationwide inquiry, not just focused on the Trump hotels. He was able to negate a lot of those things with his own words, and people could see that he was serious and that he was meaningful. And he used the words, "This is how I feel about it." Which is what most politicians don't do.
It is Katrina Pierson, Trump campaign spokesman. When it comes to race relations, they weren't able to talk about it too much last night. He was able to get the super predators comment in, which is what she called gangs, and the inference was black gangs, and she even apologized for it later. Her husband is the reason why the housing bubble happened, and he wasn't able to really go there. Do you think that he walks away in the eyes of the black community, the Hispanic community, of minorities in America, still on the upswing? I mean, he's got 15 or 16% of the black vote right now, which is more than double Mitt Romney on his best day. Does he walk away from that debate still with their ears and still with them thinking about voting for him?
He does, and I'll tell you why. And it's because they were on the upswing for him prior to the debate last night.
Yeah.
And that is because they know who is responsible for what's happening in the minority communities. Because Donald Trump has been there. He's been talking about it. He's pointed out one simple fact that no one ever talks about, and that's these communities are run by Democrats.
Yeah.
And they have been run by Democrats for 50 up to 100 years. So how can she possibly put that off on someone else? And more importantly, Mr. Trump has been able to articulate those problems and talk about potential solutions, not talking points and philosophy, hardcore things that have been done in certain communities that have helped with crime. She has not done that. She was born in Chicago. Why is Chicago the way it is? If she's so smart and so talented and knows policy, why is Chicago the way it is today? The people in Chicago know that. They know that about her, and they know that about the history, because we have this demonization of black youth, gangs or not, because most people cannot tell the difference when you have two young black men standing next to each other. That stigma was imposed by the First Lady of the United States decades ago, dehumanizing them, saying that they had no conscience, and saying that they needed to be brought to heel like animals. Black Americans know this.
It's Katrina Pierson from the Trump campaign. Obviously, last night, Hillary Clinton's objective was to say Donald Trump is a racist, and he's a misogynist, and he's an Islamophobe. His objective, I felt, was to say, not only do I have the temperament, it's way better than her temperament, plus I have the stamina, and I'm not a big fat lying liar. Which one was more successful in your opinion? Because I really think that's what she tried to do last night.
Well, that's what she tried to do, and that's exactly what she's trying to continue to do today, because instead of focusing on her policies and the roles that she wants to play as commander-in-chief to make America better, to make communities better, she focuses on personal attacks and personal grievances, not even real grievances, made-up grievances. I mean, it's amazing how you have someone like Secretary Clinton who claims to have it all together, who claims to have the strength and the stamina, but she can't do it on policy. It has to be on personal attacks. People pick up on that, and that's exactly why she's struggling today. That's exactly why the swing states are now going in Mr. Trump's direction because he's been out there on the trail talking about policy, pointing out problems most politicians won't even discuss, talking about ideas and concepts and solutions that most politicians won't discuss. So she's doing the same thing, and Donald Trump is out there doing something that most politicians don't do. That's taking his message directly to the people, not pandering, being honest and authentic.
Hey, it's Katrina Pierson from the Trump campaign. The online polls all show that he won. I mean, some of them show that he won massively. Some of the news organization polling, not so much. But, I mean, it's not really that surprising because the news organizations have some sort of a vested interest in getting Hillary Clinton elected. Does the polling matter to the average voter who's undecided? Do they care what Drudge says or what JoePags.com says or Newsmax says? Do they care? Do they look at that? Or is that just more really online fodder that we can retweet and we can share on Facebook and Twitter?
I think it does matter because people do realize the media polling is skewed. I think in the CNN poll, it was there was a 10-point weighting more in Democrats.
Right.
So obviously that's skewed a little bit more than normal, and people are picking up on that as well. When you look at the online polls, these are people who are, like I said, not engaged in the day-to-day 24-hour news cycle, watching cable news all day, every day. These are just people. If you're looking at Time Magazine, if you're on another website and they're doing a poll, and you vote in that poll, by the way, to the tune of over 1 million votes in some of these polls, that's important because those aren't the people who are, in it one way or the other. A lot of those people are just engaging, and I think that's really important, and that's what online media is for.
Last question is Katrina Pierson from the Trump campaign. My favorite moment last night for Trump was when he went after her and said, I will release my tax return against my lawyer's wishes and his suggestions. If you released the 33,000 emails you deleted, Lester Holt didn't follow up on it, gave her a chance to give her a canned line. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. I won't do it again. And, of course, he went back after her and said it wasn't a mistake. It was on purpose. For me, that was the moment of the night for Donald Trump where he said, I'll do what you want. You do what the American people expect. What was your best moment from last night?
Well, I would have to agree. I think that was a really good one because, again, if you are just now tuning into this race and you've seen the ads, that was a moment when you realized that Donald Trump was being honest and authentic. I'll release my taxes against my lawyer's will, but this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And she didn't take him up on that offer. She didn't even mention it. The moderator didn't follow up on it. But people want to know what was in those emails more than they want to know what was in Donald Trump's taxes. And I think the second thing that really stood out to me was because she is talking about policies, although transient, she is talking about policies today that she could have been working towards in the 30 years that she's been in public life. He called her out on that. I think that was important.
I thought that
established her as a career politician.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he called her out on that several times. Look, you've had the opportunity. What are you waiting for? Why are you doing it now? All right, Katrina.
And that's the important part here because she's a career politician. And he always says politicians, they talk and they do nothing. All they do is talk. And I think it was very important to point out last night, Hillary Clinton did not take the opportunity to clarify anything or to answer any questions that the public was looking to get answers on.
I got you. And you know what? I think you and I agree. I appreciate the time, as always, is Katrina Pierson from the Trump campaign. Let's talk again soon, my friend, all right?
You got it. Anytime.
We appreciate her taking the time. Your thoughts on that, your thoughts on the debate. We're going to continue with this on the Joe Pags Show right after this.